We have gradually moved into the second part of the program, and that is considerations for the role of human rights defenders, advocacy, and also for academia, the documentation that we do, the work that we do to mobilize, and all of that to also find somehow a pathway to that question that Paddy asked. You have young people that have only known violence. How do we get a society that can heal? So with that question, I turn to Kokob, Gebru Kidanu, who will talk about the mobilization of women speaking out against the terrible violence perpetrated against them. Kokob is an award winner of the Sexual Violence Research Initiative. So good to have you there, Kokob, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prof. Miriam. I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizers of this event for this vital platform on this important day. For giving us the chance to come, for all of us to come together and share our stories here. I am honored here today to speak as an African feminist, a human rights defender from Tigray, and an ally to women across the globe. Today, I speak on the importance of women speaking up against violence. Before I do that, I would like to speak about my journey of advocacy. My journey has been one that is inspired by women who refuse to be silenced. Starting in 2019, I was part of Yuhono, the first grassroots feminist movement in Tigray. Together with my friends, we organized rallies, led campaigns, provided women with shelter, and fiercely advocated against violence. We were determined to ensure our voices were heard. But a few years ago, as many of you here know, during the Tigray War, I found myself in an unimaginable situation, caught in war, under siege, and stripped of basic necessities, including the ability to communicate with the outside world. Everywhere I turned, my voice was being silenced. As I worked closely with women who have been subjected to weaponized sexual violence, I was constantly reminded of the risk I lived with every day, that I could be next. No woman should ever have to endure such horrors. Yet, in the darkness, something extraordinary happened. Women from Tigray and across the globe stood up. They became allies, amplifying our pain, advocating for justice, and ensuring our stories weren't lost to history. I witnessed how advocacy can manifest in so many ways, from public protests to quiet acts of resilience. I saw the strength of women in Tigray, who even during unimaginable suffering demonstrated what it means to fight for dignity and hope. Today, I stand here as a sworn human rights defender, an ally to all women around the world. I am a testament to the power of advocacy and a reminder of the resilience and hope that women can inspire, even in the darkest of times. So my key message for women speaking out against violence, the first one is amplifying silenced voices. Many women living in context of violence are silenced by systemic oppression, fear, or lack of access to platforms. Those who can speak have the power and responsibility to amplify the voices of those who cannot. By doing so, they bring attention to the injustice and creative pathway for change. But during this, we must always recognize, however, that silence does not equate to incapability. Often, those who are not speaking simply lack the opportunity or a platform to do so. Our role as advocates is not to overshadow their efforts or dominate their narratives, but to provide them with the means to share their stories And of course, who better to share their own stories than themselves? By amplifying their voices and creating platforms for them to speak, we honor the agency and ensure that perspective leads the conversation. Violence against women often thrives in silence and invisibility. When women speak out, they shine a light on these hidden atrocities, breaking the culture of silence that allows such violence to persist. Advocacy makes it impossible for society to ignore or dismiss these issues. The second point is creating a ripple effect. Speaking out inspires others to find their courage and take action. When one woman shares her story or advocates for justice, it can ignite a movement, encourage others to join in, build solidarity, and push for systemic change. History is full with examples of women rising against oppression. We can take an example of Libya, the woman of Liberia. The women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace brought Christian and Muslim women together to end civil war, showing the transformative power of women's advocacy. The third point is shifting power dynamics. Historically, women's voices have been marginalized and silence has been used as a tool of control. By speaking up, women challenge these dynamics, reclaim their agency, and demand their rightful place in decision-making spaces. Speaking up creates opportunities for collaboration. Women who advocate for others can mobilize resources, influence policy, and build networks that support survivors, ensuring long-lasting solutions to combat violence. The fourth point is feminist solidarity, a force beyond borders. The scene of women standing in solidarity with one another across unfamiliar faces and diverse backgrounds is one of the most profound manifestations of humanity. Solidarity among women is like a symphony where every voice matters. It's embroidery of empathy, where each thread, unique in color and texture, interlocks to form a masterpiece of resilience. There is an unspoken bond that transcends physical distance or personal acquaintance. When a woman speaks up for someone she's never met, she's saying, I see you, I feel you, I'll stand for you. The fifth point is the role of men as allies. While the fight is led by women, it is strengthened by the support of allies, especially men who understand that gender-based violence is not a women's issue, but a societal and a human rights one. Men as allies challenge toxic masculinity and model healthier, equitable ways of engaging with women and other men. When men stand up as allies, they amplify women's voices without overshadowing them. They help break cycles of violence and advocate for systemic change from within male-dominated spaces. The sixth point is investing in future advocates, ensuring that women from a young age advocate for their own rights and for others requires intentional investment in education, in mentorship, and systemic change that empowers girls and young women. We have to be able to incorporate gender equality in curricula to create awareness and foster responsibility. We have to highlight female role models to inspire young girls and provide advocacy skills, leadership opportunities, and safe spaces for self-expression. By creating this nurturing leadership, we empower young women to become lifelong advocates for justice. 7 is lessons from African movements. We always have to look at our history and learn from them. For example, in Sudan, the role of women in the 2019 revolution is a powerful example of solidarity in action. Women-led protests risked their lives and demanded to end oppressive regimes. And we can also see in the Democratic Republic of Congo, movements like the B-Day and City of Joy have provided survivors of sexual violence with the healing and empowerment. This initiative is reminding us of the importance of creating safe spaces where survivors can rebuild their lives and advocate for change. 8 is solidarity in conflict zones. In places like Tigray, Sudan, DRC, Afghanistan, and Gaza, solidarity becomes a lifeline. Women in these regions face unimaginable hardships from war to displacement, yet they continue to organize and advocate and support each other. The global advocates community plays a crucial role here. When we amplify the voices of women in conflict zones, we ensure their stories are heard and their struggles acknowledged. This solidarity transcends borders and reminds us no woman's fight for justice is isolated. 9 is the 16 days of activism. As today marks the end of the 16 days of activism against violence, this year's theme for the 16 days of activism has been no excuse. There is no excuse for perpetrating violence. There is no excuse to not be an ally. There is no excuse to remain silent when other lives are at stake. On any given day last year, 140 women and girls died at the hands of a partner or a close relative. This means every 10 minutes, a woman was killed somewhere in the world. These numbers are a sobering reminder that we must act now. And finally, a call to action. As I reflect on my own journey, I am reminded of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document born from pain but filled with hope. It's a promise to every human being, especially those who face systemic violence and dehumanization. To the women in this room and beyond, your voices matter. To the men here, your support is vital. The fight for human rights is not easy. The journey will definitely not be smooth. It will be painful at times. You might not see the change as quickly as you want, and you might even feel disheartened. But when we speak, we heal. When we act, we transform. When we unite, we triumph. These are not just words, but a call to action. Let us carry this promise forward. Let us amplify the voices of those silenced. Let us advocate for not just with passion, but with purpose. And let us build a world where the principles of justice, dignity, and equality are not just ideas, but reality. Thank you very much.